Okay, the next topic I want to introduce is about the new startups in the IT and their way of doing business outside of the US. Because for me, coming from Europe, I'm watching as the years goes by, a different approach from these new startups, approaching the external market from the US. And I'd like to know your opinion, even from other European guys or even from the US guys.
Well, I can begin saying that I'm seeing quite a different approach if compared only to a few years ago. Now startups know that to keep the advantage they need to move very, very fast. And if I compare startups on the last decade, when they moved very slow from US, so they were here, they developed the product here, and after a few years, 3, 4, 5, they moved outside US. Now they are very, very fast, and they launch the product, and after 1 year or more or less 1 year, they come to Europe, and they are doing this because their technology is potentially good. It's sometimes really good, but also the big vendors are moving faster than in the past. So they have more information, and
they're moving faster by buying them, or
also by buying them. But I remember when I was a few years ago, I worked with a reseller in Italy, and we started to sell startup storage, storage from a startup, and we were in a position where the big vendors ignored the startup. So we won many deals, not only for the quality of technology, but because the vendors were not ready to fight this new thing, and it was amazing. Okay, now the vendors are more informed, I can say, and they react very fast. So if a new technology is gain some traction, they try to deal with this technology, and they try to announce new products very fast. So the startups need to be faster. Okay.
The world is getting smaller in every sense.
Yes.
So the thing is, 2 or 3 years back, when a startup wanted to come to Europe, they had to build their own environment in Europe. By now we have Storage Field Day and that kind of events, VMworld, EMC World, all those events where even for a startup it's easier to make the leap over to the European countries.
Also, it's easier for a small company to call here and say, "Oh, I like your technology. Come in and show your magic." And
but why do you think EMC came up with VR Cache? Because all the small companies did, and they didn't.
yes, this is.
Do you see the European market as being very dynamic, or more dynamic now, and more accepting of newer technologies because of the fact that they want to, they want to get ahead, or is it that the larger technology firms have largely failed them by holding on to old technology in order to sell through their pipeline without bringing the latest and best stuff to Europe?
I think that, as the other guys were saying, all this information that is coming from the internet has created more awareness in customers about the existence of this new technology. So sometimes they are even the customer asking for it before the system integrator can offer it. But the differences between the European market and the US market, I think that, first of all, we are only IT consumers. We have really, really few IT companies developing and inventing new technologies. First one. Second one, Europe is almost as big as the US as a market, but it's not a common market. We are a union, but we have all our countries, and each country has its differences. So I think maybe this is another reason for the startups having some problems in coming from the US to the Europe, because it's not that you open an European headquarter and try to sell your stuff from there to all Europe. You need also regional offices, or at least regional people that can understand the single markets there.
So have the European IT vendors like Bull and Fujitsu Siemens kind of fallen off the face of the earth?
You want to make it, you say the two, how many can I say from the US? You want me to start the list?
20 years ago, those, you know,
I know.
the
40 years ago, we have in Italy Olivetti,
Right.
and IBM technician take the plane to come to Italy to see how these guys were doing the mainframes. But it was 40 years ago.
Yeah, that's what I get for being old.
So I have a question. For the European guys, do you have some advice for a smaller company that's just getting into the market? And specifically, I'd like to know, so let's say a storage startup that, I don't know, launched yesterday or the day before at Storage Field Day, right? Would you tell that company to quickly go to Europe? Would you tell them to hold off? And if you did tell them to go, would you say that they should focus on resellers, or they should focus on their own staff? Should they go to one country before another country? What do you think about that?
That's what he said already. It depends per country. That's the thing in Europe.
I think, I don't know, but okay, but one element they have to consider is support. Because I've seen many times new startups having problems with offering support contract to the European. Maybe because the replacement parts were shipped from the US, so you cannot guarantee, for example, 4-hour replacement. And if you want to go to mid-market or to enterprise market, we have to offer the same kind of support that the huge vendor can offer. So you cannot move only your technology, but you have to move your own company there.
They have to be a real participant. They can't just
It
sell.
cannot only be a branch office.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they need a dispersed organization all around Europe, starting from the major countries and then.
Like Italy, right?
Yeah,
I would start from London,
The Netherlands.
to be honest.
and they need to manage support. Yeah, because the first problem is always support. When you deal with a startup and you get the message that okay, the product is great, but you can have problems, and when you have problems, this is the time to show that you are better than the legacy stuff some way. So this is the most important. Sometimes startups, I think that they are doing it wrong. They delegate they try to sell the stuff and help and give some spare parts to the resellers, but the resellers are not big or huge to have people ready for this kind of thing. So they need to manage support.
And thanks to Chris Evans from Twitter, I have to say, remember to the companies coming to Europe, we don't speak the same language all over Europe. So
You all seem to speak English.
it's not my mother tongue.
Go to Germany or France.
Yeah.
No,
Also Italy.
No, this is why I say you need a kind of dispersed organization. I know some startup, they have a salesman and they have a technical person, an engineer, and they do the first level of, when they are small and they have a few customers, they can afford to do pre-sales and post-sales at the first level. And then when the organization grows, they can move to other service models. But this is important for European especially for SMBs where the resources are few and people, don't speak English very well, and so.
One thing in the Netherlands is that when you want to sell a product, you have to have it with you, and people have to see and feel it if you want to sell it. I think that may be different from the US.
No. No, salesmen in the US do drive around with storage arrays in the trunk. Absolutely. And I think it's just harder to get it to the Netherlands or to Italy or to France or whatever. I mean, I think it's just less mobile when you're starting out to be able to bring it. And also because, as you said, if you need an organization in Italy and Spain and France and Germany and the Netherlands and the UK, then you need to have all of those people in all of those locations have a demonstration unit, and they all need to be trained. It's hard.
It is.
So what about law, maybe?
Yeah.
In the US, you're working under one nation, but we have several countries and different laws. So it's not only about the technique, but laws as well. Could be.